Hey, restorers, welcome to a fresh episode of the Restoration Today podcast with some familiar faces, but because we are talking about events again. I am here with Beth Thompson with Core Group and Ryan Pritchard with PSA. This is the third, I think, podcast that we've done so far in the 2025 calendar year, talking about industry events and kind of gearing up for the collective, which is going to be in August, and PSA's user conference is budding up to that. But the three of us go to a lot of conferences and a lot of trade shows, and Beth has also been with different companies, so we come at it from like a number of different angles, I think, in looking at events. And I don't know about you guys, but after three events like nearly back to back to back as we record this in early June, I'm thankful for a little bit of a breather. So Ryan, I'm going to toss it to you first. Do a quick intro and then kind of give your take on conference season this year, as much as you want.
Sure. So as Michelle put it, I'm Ryan Pritchard from PSA, VP of Sales and Marketing. I've been doing the trade show circuit for a long time. I think we've mentioned that obviously in the last couple podcasts. Certainly this season seemed a lot busier, and I don't know if it was just with things moving around due to like weather events and that trying to cram more into less time. It just seemed like it was nonstop. And so some of these shows almost ran together, week over week, and you could see kind of the burnout in a lot of the same people that we were seeing at conventions, going like, "Oh, I'm back in the office one day and then back out to the next event." So there was a visible fatigue that we were kind of seeing, getting closer and closer to where we are now in June, which is pretty much the end of trade show season for the spring show. And so, you start to talk to people about what they like, what they didn't like, and certainly, unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend the RIA show this year, but I will say that I heard nothing but fantastic things about that show, about the fact that, it's grown in size. It's provided a lot more opportunities, obviously, for contractors to come out and network and educate. So I'm definitely going to be, heading to that one next year. But I think the topic on everybody's mind is, more and more events popping up.
Mhm.
Which ones are we going to continue to go to, and which ones kind of fall on the, chopping room floor because time is money, and people still got to work in this industry to make their businesses run. So it's going to be interesting to see come next year what those attendances look like, for the shows that happened this year.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, Beth, your turn. Want to do a quick intro?
Sure, I sure will. Beth Thompson, VP of Events at Core Group. And I would echo what Ryan said. I think people are tired this year, and the visible fatigue is very visible. So I think for me, my perspective is the wildfires in California moved that Cotality CoreLogic event to March. And so it like already busy season kind of um had another obstacle, I would say, added to it, which just created, I think, just back to back to back to back travel. It just wears everybody out. But I think it's something that as an industry we need to have conversation around and look at more from a perspective of what is our goal in events. What is, so for me, when I think of what does Core want out of participating in different events, and it's we want community, which I know that may not be everybody's priority, but to me, I think this is an industry that gives a lot, and we need that giving back to us. So I think community. Ryan, you said this earlier before we started recording, but innovation. Who's innovating? Who's getting ahead of the game? Who's looking at where we're headed? Who's helping us get where we need to be in 10 years and really thinking about what that looks like without losing the human element? And then I think obviously everybody's going to say business growth. We need leads, we need opportunity. So I think how do we do that as an industry? And maybe that means some more collaboration. I don't know. I know that's one of the motivations for us partnering together is trying to help, users of PSA be able to come on one trip, and then flow into collective. So looking for ways to collaborate and partner and kind of help each other out, because like you said, you gotta, and our people have to work. They can't attend 4 conferences back to back weeks. So just something I think we need to give more thought to.
Yeah. So, okay, piggybacking Beth off of what you just said, Ryan, one of the questions I was going to ask you guys is what your companies look at in trade shows. How do you vet which ones we're going to go to and which ones we're not going to go to. And I know that as vendors, that's something that changes year over year as well. Like every event seems to shift a little bit. RIA is a perfect example of an event that went from, and it's not a secret, went from being kind of almost dead and dying to being like a rock star neutral party place for the industry to be during the spring show season. So, Ryan, what do you guys look for in a show?
Well, this is going to sound like common sense, but I look for in any show a vendor that's going to collaborate with us. I
Mhm.
think Beth and her team did a really good job even this year, just kind of asking people, like what would be beneficial to you to come to a show like ours? And I think conferences that actually listen and put an emphasis on like how do we make this better together? To me, I feel like I don't necessarily go off the promise of numbers about, oh, there's going to be X amount of attendees or because I mean everyone kind of, you know, grows that number a little bit than what the actual attendance is. But I think an event that truly wants to collaborate with me as a vendor and gives me opportunity, not just through a trade show, but maybe opportunities to speak or opportunities to network or do a lot of after hours events. One that's, a trade show where at the end of the 3 days, I'm just absolutely zonked because I haven't literally slept. You go from like 7 in the morning till 7 at night. To me, that's a value that it's up to me now as a vendor to
Yes.
put in the work, right? But I think I've been given the opportunity now to make the most of that situation and really get the bang for my buck. And that's something that I think most vendors look for in these events to go, what opportunities am I going to have to be present in front of this audience? Even if the audience is smaller, if you're given that dedicated opportunity, you're going to get much more meaningful leads,
Yeah.
even conversations in those
Mhm.
events than you would in a larger event where you're just trapped in a trade show hall and there's no opportunity to get in front of people.
Yes. 100%. Beth, you have something
And
you
I
want
would definitely add, like the thought that I had when you were speaking, Ryan, and you mentioned RIA was I think what changed. So if you stop and you think back, and this is something that I'm very passionate about, and I appreciate you mentioning it, is listening.
to add? Mhm.
As much as I talk, I really think we miss the art of listening. And do we actually, like for me, do I really care if people feel like they got value if they attend collective? I 100% want a vendor to feel like it was valuable to attend.
Mhm.
So I need in my mind, who's going to tell me that? A vendor. So I think it's so important. One thing I think outside looking in, and I may be speaking more, assuming too much, but it appeared to me with RIA, one thing is it became more collaborative. It seemed like there was more people involved. There were more voices contributing to the direction in which they were going to go. And I feel like the more people feel kind of heard and it's they're not going to knock something they're putting their voice into. You know what I mean? They're going to put their energy there. And it's more about allowing people to give that and actually not just doing it because you're supposed to do a feedback survey, but listening and saying, okay, whether this was what we intended their experience to be, this is what their experience was from their perspective. So if someone says there was not enough people on the show floor, it doesn't matter if I give them a list. It doesn't matter if they had their back turned the whole time because that was their experience in their mind. And so I think for me, one of the things that I appreciate you saying is just looking for people that are open to how do we move forward and it be valuable to all the different players that attend shows and events. So I think we think of it in two ways. One, that who's growing, who's innovating, who's thinking forward, who's going to help us as we try to move forward. But then also I think of it from a brand perspective of like there's certain shows I think it's really important to be visible at the show. So there's a couple shows I'm like RIA being one of them. It's become, a really prominent show in the industry. It's important to, if you want to be a part of the conversation, to be there, and so I think there's a brand visibility and a, desire for community and things like that, relationship, but then also, just having that place to where people are thinking forward.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so I had to bring all this together because I want to talk about your events and planning, and I know agendas are out and those kind of things. So I want to get there. But just my final thought bringing this all together is I honestly felt bad watching the vendors and the attendees at the shows this spring. It was so much, and people were so exhausted by the end. And, people had trouble getting their booths from one place to the next. And the turnaround time from like, oh, look, I just saw you. I'm on the same plane. I've been on the same plane as you 3 weeks in a row now, those kind of things. I don't know what the solution is to this. I don't know that anybody has a solution, especially when it's different groups that are having these events. I understand there isn't 100% attendee overlap, but the vendors do overlap. And I think that that's an area that it's become a little hard and unfair for the vendors. I'm just going to say it out loud as like maybe the most neutral person in this room. I don't know. So I hope that at some point we can figure that out to make it, this is such a small industry, like not, these vendors aren't made of money, and the amount that it costs the vendors to be at one event after another event after another event and shipping your crates and all of the things, you guys totally understand. That
Oh,
is
yeah.
just, especially when we're in a season where we've been talking about contractors are slow, which makes the vendors also slow sometimes. And it's just this trickle down effect. And if we can somehow in the future figure out how to do better, this is like my little call out to the industry of like, if there's some way that we can find out how to be better, do better for the vendors and the contractors instead of pulling people so many directions, that would be an amazing
I was
goal.
going to say the simple answer to this, and I've kind of brought this up a couple times when talking to people, but you look at some other industries like the healthcare space and even roofing, like other construction type businesses. What they do is they tend to have these larger collaborative events where it's fewer individual shows, but one must see event type thing. I would love to see the startings of that. And I know it's hard with all the politics of different vendors working together and everyone has their own agendas and things like that. But I would love to start to see a major event come into like the restoration space where it becomes the must see, must go to event because there's so much to get out of it. And because there's so much collaboration, I may have saved myself 4 or 5 trips where it used to be I had to go to all these different places. Now I can go to one spot and get all, maybe I bring a bigger team, but I get everything I need, in that one event. Someone's got to kind of start the path forward to that, and open that invitation to kind of saying like, this is a non-bias, there's no specific agenda, we're here for the contractor and these are the things that we want to achieve, and if anyone wants to participate, it's an open door type thing. I can see it may not happen overnight, but over time, as that momentum picks, I can see something like that getting bigger and bigger, in this space.
Yeah. Okay. Love it. Good conversation. Thank you guys. All right, let's talk about agendas and where events are at, because now you're in the final countdown, 3 months to 2 months out, 2 months out.
Two,
2 months out because it is June 2nd.
yeah.
So yes. All right. So the PSA user conference is at the beginning of the week, and then the collective is the 6th through the 8th of August. So Beth, I'm going to toss it to you first. What's new? I know you have party themes to share, and I might be the most excited about that.
I
So
do. So yes, we're super excited about some of our new developments. A couple of things that I want to point out before I go into the party themes is we did introduce, and I've mentioned this on the podcast previously, but a member fair. And we've had a good response. I think we're going to have between 25 and 30 member companies that will have that first experience of the member fair with. So I'm excited about flipping that script and offering that. And speaking to vendors, we're almost sold out. So if you're a vendor and you haven't reached out, please reach out to Andy Naiman or events@gowithcore.com, either way. But we have about 25 new vendors that have not been to Collective before. So I'm really excited about that. And we're really spending time trying to make sure that we're really thinking through. You guys know we have the immersive trade show this year. Another thing we did was to do the standardized booth. So there's less shipping. No, you don't have to bring your booth. So hopefully that's a perk for the vendors at no additional cost. That's included in the registration for a vendor. So we're very hopeful that we're looking at new ways and trying to see what works this year, and taking the things that work and moving forward and letting go of things that don't. So that's our goal. But So parties. So obviously the first night, so pickleball is on that, the 5th, and then the 6th is that evening is going to be our kickoff, and it is immersive with the vendors. So the whole 3rd floor is basically going to be this party, and it's going to be, the windows are going to be completely blacked out. So I'm going to give you a visual. And the name of the party is Ignite the Core. And I want you to think about like energy, momentum, mission, like charge in every connection, spark of leadership, collaboration. And it's really going to be the best way to prepare for it as an attendee or a vendor is just think red. The DJ is going to be in a LED lit box that will be red. So it's going to be, everything's blacked out, but there will be red light everywhere. So we're all going to look younger when we leave the party. It's not supposed to be a thing. Welcome. That's your going away, your party giveaway gift. But we're really going to focus on that energy. And we wanted to make it something simple enough that if someone came, wear a red shirt. It can be that easy. Or if you want to go all out and wear LED red jogging suits, do it. Whatever you want to do. And then, so that's obviously just our first night party. And then our rooftop party is going to be Tomorrowland. And that's going to be more leaning into the future, futuristic robots bringing you your drinks. You may see a few little robotic dogs. Going to be a lot of fun. Think Jetsons. But Tiffany is putting out this week on social media the vision boards on Pinterest for like attire to give everyone ideas. But so party, first night, think red, think energy, think ignition, ignite. And then the second one is Tomorrowland. Think Jetsons, think robots and future and futuristic cocktails and all that good stuff. So we're excited to hopefully present something people haven't experienced this year. So that's hopefully what you guys will experience there.
I love the Jetsons. That's very fun. That's awesome.
Me too.
I'm trying to think of my
about
outfit.
Rosie. I always think about how I remember watching that as a kid thinking, how nice to have a Rosie. How do I get a Rosie? Like the lady that, yeah.
Yes.
Anyway.
I was trying to think of her name, so I'm glad that you.
Yeah.
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 The robot
Yeah.
waitress,
Yes.
housekeeper.
Yes. Okay, Ryan, how's your planning coming from PSA user conference side?
Good. I mean, again, it's always, been our prerogative. I mentioned listening and collaborating. I think a big part of what we're trying to do for both the vendors and attendees is incorporate more of that into the ecosystem of our conference. So it's not just everything PSA and you have to be completely enveloped in all the things that we're doing to get ROI out of it. So from a vendor's perspective, not only are we incorporating them in the agenda more where there's education, there's hands-on, but also trying to get some test labs kind of set up at the event, because a lot of times it's great to see something on a TV screen from a vendor presentation, but if you can go to like a hands-on demo or let me try this technology or let me see what this would be like in our business, it's almost kind of like getting that test drive with your car and you get to try it out a little bit first and then go, hey, this may actually work for us. And so just again, trying to change the philosophy of what conferences are on paper to something that's a little bit different. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but you got to keep trying just to see, how do we get out of this kind of like funk of conferences are always about the same stuff and it's this repetitiveness where if I've gone to one before, do I need to go to the next one? So I think between what, Beth and her team is doing and what we're doing at the PSA, hopefully people will be able to see things that they've never seen before or experienced before, in the hopes that we're going to keep trying to push the envelope to see what's it going to take to get people out of the office that maybe have never gone to a conference before and get them into that, rotation of coming to these events and hopefully growing the industry of attendees so that we can start to push the envelope even further. Maybe collaborate a little bit more. Who knows what the future holds, but I'm hopeful that for next season, we're going to see things start to change and evolve so that we can kind of breathe some life, back into conference season where, we've seen this steady decline year over year. I'd love to break that habit.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, anything else that either of you want to add for people who are listening really quick? thecollectivebycore.com and canamsys.com are the two URLs for this. You can find it all over the CNR website and in our events calendar and all of those things as well if you're looking for them. But anything else that either of you want to add before we wrap it up?
I would just want to, obviously, CTA, just if anyone wants to attend or wants to be a vendor, please reach out to events@gowithcore.com. Reach out to me personally. I'm happy for myself or someone on my team to chat about what that would look like. And also, I do want to give props to Ryan. I know a lot of what we've talked about today is about kind of having an open mind and a collaborative mindset. And it has been delightful to work with PSA through Ryan and Holly, just with that mindset of, you know how sometimes you're working with people and I think that the missing piece that most people have is being easy to work with is really priceless. And when you work with difficult people at times, and then you work with people that are really like a delight to work with, it's something that I think is really not hard to do. And I just want to give props to Ryan because he's been absolutely great to work with. And to me, that means a lot. So thanks, Ryan.
Well, right back at you, Beth. I mean, geez, it has been a total pleasure, obviously, to work with you and to see you at all the shows because we keep bumping into each other on the road, and I would love to see that be the starting point of other people taking cue of what we're trying to do in this space, and not be afraid to work with people that you may have some overlay with, or work with competing vendors in the hopes that we can make something greater. Right. So hopefully people will take that cue from us and help evolve this space. The only thing that I wanted to say, again, I know we're in crunch time, so if there is anyone that wants more information on our event, they can reach out to myself, Ryan, or our sales at canamsys.com to sign up or get more information on details. I know Michelle's going to be there as well, so if you want to come out and see Michelle, she's our media sponsor for both of the events, and she's been gracious enough to let us be on this podcast 3 times. We didn't get kicked off the first time, so I'm so happy that Michelle is part of this industry and really the voice in restoration. So I just want to give a call out to Michelle and Beth for just being able to work with great people. I think helps make this industry one of those things where you wake up on Monday morning and go, let's do this another day.
That's right. It is the people. I feel like this is a kumbaya moment at the end of a podcast. Like, what is happening?
Oh, Mike, if y'all see a little tear flow, can you edit that out?
All the feels. We see each other often. So the friendships in this industry are everything. And it is amazing when you have good partners that are easy to work with. And the majority of the industry is that way. So we're blessed in that capacity. I think people have a little bit more perspective for things because of the industry we work in sometimes. So I look forward to seeing you both in August. That's going to feel like an eternity considering I've gotten to see you so many times recently. Yes, check out the event. Everybody get registered, and hopefully we see everybody that's listening to this there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Michelle.
Thanks, guys.
For more Restoration Today and the latest news, visit our website, cnrmagazine.com, and find the latest episodes of the Restoration Today podcast on your favorite podcasting platform.